Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyra and it is the 31st of December today. It is the last day of 2023. Now, this year has been a little bit of a wild one. It has had so many ups and downs, and I just thought I'd pop on here and give you guys a wrap up of 2023. I thought, why not? I haven't vlogged most of December since I got back from Auckland, which would have been the last time I vlogged. Now we're gonna move on to 2024, which is exciting for a couple reasons, which I'll get to at the end. But for now, let's talk about this year. So I guess the first kind of things that I did in the year was get some tattoos. I got tatted up with this beauty and this beauty. If you're new to my channel, I'm heavily tattooed. There you go. I've got my other tattoos from previous years, but yeah, these were the two. I started off with this one in January, and then I got this one in March. So it was amazing. I finally got the courage to just ink my body. I guess it wasn't like the courage, but it was just the interest and desire to want to have tattoo art on my body. And I love it. I found some amazing artists to do some pretty incredible designs, very fine line tattooing. And I love them still to this day. I can't get over them. Obviously, I'm really glad about that because it's on my body forever. I also started off the year doing a lot of traveling. I went to see my friend in Nelson, sort of like Abel Tasman area of the South Island. I met her traveling Vietnam, so it was really cool to actually meet up with her while she was visiting New Zealand. And I had fun walking the Abel Tasman Coast Track, which is a beautiful, great walk in New Zealand. Highly recommend that you do that one day. And while I was in Auckland getting this tattoo done, I actually got to visit my best friend who lives there, and it was so nice to visit with her. I love fostering friendships like that where you don't see them all the time, but when you do see each other, you can just pick up where you left off, and it's a beautiful friendship. She's so kind-hearted, a lovely woman, and I'm so glad to have her as a friend in New Zealand. I worked a little bit, so I guess as a wrap up, I only worked 5.5 months of 2023. If you don't know, I'm an independent contractor. I charge by the hour, which allows me to then make a higher wage in a short amount of time compared to working every day on a salary. I'm very, very grateful to have that as my work setup for the moment, and it's just been really nice to be able to take breaks. So I did work a little bit from like March to May, and then I went on a huge holiday, and then I picked up another contract and worked from like September to early December. And now I'm off again. I'm unemployed, and I'm gonna be unemployed for the next couple months over New Zealand summer until potentially in the middle of next year. Really grateful to only have had to work 5.5 months. It's not like I planned it that way. That's just how things went. It was really difficult to get a job early last year, and when I did finally get one, I'd already planned travel, so I actually had to break up when I was actually gonna work. But that was okay in the end, because here we are, the last day of 2023. I'm totally fine. I was able to maintain my rent, my studio apartment where I still live in Wellington, and everything was good. So I'm really happy professionally with how things went. Okay, so after I finished up that work contract, I went to Canada! And I'm so lovely to be back in Canada. Not that I want to move back there, let's not get it twisted, but I just really enjoyed being with Masha and going back to familiar sites. A good reminder that that's always there if I ever want it, but it just kind of showed me that I didn't want it right now. So it was an affirmation for me that I'm still not meant to be living in Canada at this moment. I'm very happy where I am living overseas. Is it going to be New Zealand forever? I don't know. But I definitely am happy here in New Zealand, so that was a really good lesson that I took away from my visit with Canada, but also just being with my mom. I love spending time with my Masha, so being at her house and having her take me in and host me for a couple weeks was really, really beautiful. Thank you so much, Masha. And it was just nice to reconnect with that part of my life that I hadn't explored in like 3.5 years at that time. So actually, the Canada visit was kind of cut short because I'd planned this mega month-and-a-half European holiday, and it was a big one. Like, we went all out. I don't know. I spent so much money on this holiday. There's a reason why I hadn't been to Europe in a while. It's because it's expensive. It's beautiful, and you can travel to so many countries because they're so close together, but it is expensive with the euro, but also so totally worth it. It was just amazing. I went to the Western Balkans. I got to see a side of Europe that I'd never explored before, and I got to do some of it with my mom, which is just amazing in itself because she hadn't been to Europe Europe in many, many years. Actually, the first time I went to Europe was with my mom. She took my brother and I when I was only freshly 16 years old, and I was really grateful for her for that because it actually just kind of helped ignite my love of travel, seeing Europe. I was like, wow, this is so different to anything I know in North America, and it just helped to build that love of what I do now, which is prioritizing travel in my life. So then to go back with Masha and experience Croatia with her was amazing. We also went to Bosnia and Herzegovina together. We went to Slovenia together. I have to say, Slovenia was like the hidden gem of that part of the trip. Both Masha and I absolutely loved Slovenia. So if you haven't been, this is your sign to go book the trip and definitely visit Lake Bled because it is just absolutely beautiful. Of course, Masha and I flew to Ireland together and we did a road trip, and I guess the second highlight of the trip was actually when we flew to the UK and went to Scotland. We focused most of our time on the Highlands in Scotland. Oh my gosh, the Isle of Skye is one of my favorite places in the world now. I just absolutely love it. We both fell in love with Scotland. Yes, the weather was less than ideal, but it was just a beautiful time and it was just a surprising highlight. We didn't think we'd like it as much as we did. The only thing we didn't love was that the UK obviously uses Great Britain pound, and that was very expensive for us. And I am actually considering doing maybe a 6-month holiday, kind of like a work holiday thing in the UK sometime in the future, because recently they actually extended the working holiday age limit for Canadians from 30 to 35. I never really thought I'd have that opportunity, but I'm 32 now, so I do have a little bit of wiggle room to decide if that's something I may want to do in the future. If you live in Scotland or you've had experience living there, please reach out, let me know what it was like for you. I'm really interested to learn more. Masha and I traveled back to Canada together. We had a couple weeks to just bond and spend that quality time. We just really are so close. We're best friends, and being apart from each other for so many months at a time is hard. So when we are together, it really is special, and we just cherish those moments so much. So I absolutely had an amazing, amazing time away. I went over the North American summer, which was New Zealand and Australian winter. But anyway, I came back and I started looking for work. I got that work contract that I just finished up a couple weeks ago, and I just stayed and chilled in Wellington until it came time for my birthday, and I went to Sydney. So if you don't know, Sydney, Australia is one of my favorite cities in the world. And then when I was in Nepal, I met some really brilliant friends, Alex and Daniel, and I went to visit them for my 32nd birthday. We had an amazing time. We went to the Blue Mountains for the first time. I'd never been, and it was just lovely to reconnect with my friends. I hadn't seen them in a year since we had met in Nepal, and it was lovely to see them in their home turf and just explore beautiful, beautiful Sydney. It was getting so hot, and it was just the start of summer, so I can only imagine how hot Sydney gets. And I was like, ooh, it's starting to get hot. I don't know if I can handle it. I mean, if I ever did live in Sydney one day, which there is a high chance that I probably will, it'd have to be somewhere with air conditioning. And that was the last international trip of 2023. Then actually, when I got back from Sydney, I went to visit my friend Melanie in Auckland again, literally just to spend time with her, see how she's doing, check in on her pregnancy. And it was so nice. I just felt so good. We went all over different neighborhoods in Auckland. I went on a solo retreat to Waiheke Island and literally just stayed in a lodge and relaxed. Like, wow, I've never felt more relaxed than I have in that trip. It was just, I didn't really talk to anybody. I didn't try to make friends. I literally just went there and slept. I think I was just so exhausted from Sydney, and I just enjoyed that peaceful, nice, quiet, relaxing visit. All in all, an amazing travel year. I went to so many new countries. I'm now at 49 countries that I've been to, and I've actually already been planning some trips for 2024, which is so exciting, and I'm so glad and lucky and grateful that I'm able to travel the way that I do. And if I think about the year overall, it was really nice, but I cannot just talk about the highlights. I have to also talk about the tough times. I have had a lot of friendships come and go out of my life this year. It's been really difficult to try to make a community in Wellington. I already touched on this in another vlog where I went through a really hard time when I got a flea infestation from an ex-friend and it was just devastating to have a flea in your house. And then the way that my friend handled the situation by just kind of avoiding it and not really wanting to support me through it was also pretty devastating. I was already by myself and I'm already in an unprecedented situation, and now you've just abandoned me in the 11th hour, and I just just felt really, really upset. And so that was really tough. I had other friends come and go out of my life. I had actually met a friend who I was spending a lot of time with. We even planned to go to a tattoo convention at the end of November, and then it just fell apart because I started to realize that they weren't who they said they were. They kind of came on really strong in the beginning, and then things started to change over time. And I just got caught up in the moment and bought this ticket, and then ended up realizing I don't want to travel with this person. So I ended up having to just let that ticket go to waste, which is so annoying because it was expensive. I learned a lot of lessons about who I want to spend my time with. Something else I've been thinking of doing is changing my career. So I'm actually looking to just find more fulfillment in what I do for my job. I've been doing the same type of work now for 10 years. It's just a long time to be doing the same thing, and I have felt for a while now that it's time for a change. So that's kind of where my head's going. So I guess that's a good segue into the next part of the video that I wanted to talk about, which are my 2024 goals. Okay, so 2024 goals can kind of just be a little bit of a free-for-all because honestly, this could probably change very quickly as the year progresses. So for now, the plan is go on some upcoming trips that I've planned. So for the first trip of the year and for country number 50, I'm going to Sri Lanka in 22 days, and I'm so excited to go to Sri Lanka. And then actually, because of the proximity to Sri Lanka, I decided to add 4 nights in the Maldives. And before you get ahead of yourself, no, I'm not staying in those crazy expensive over-the-water bungalows. Those are like $2,000 a night. Absolutely not. Your girl's not working right now. I cannot sustain to have an over-the-water bungalow Maldives experience. But what I can afford is a local island experience. So a lot of those big resorts with the beautiful bungalows, those are all on private islands that literally is just the resort. But if you want to go the budget conscious friendly way, you can go to what's called a local island, which is literally just meaning locals live there and tourism is the main form of the economy. So there are hotels that are way more affordable and you can stay there. That's what I decided to do. So I did some research. I was literally like that meme with the cat on the keyboard. So yeah, I found an island that somebody else had just raved about and was like, you gotta stay here if you're trying to do the Maldives on a budget. And I was like, I am trying to do the Maldives on a budget, and I don't want a loud party island. I want something in between of like lively, quiet. So I found an island and I'm gonna stay there for 4 nights. I'm planning to do a lot of water activities. I want to just relax, and then I fly back to Sri Lanka and I fly to Melbourne, which is where I have a layover. Now, I went with an airline company that had pretty bad transit times, but it actually saved me $1,000 in airfare than if I had gone with a different airline. So I do have a 16-hour layover in Melbourne, which is kind of crazy, but at the same time, I've never been to Melbourne, so I thought, why not? I'll just stay in Melbourne for 1 night, book a hotel in the CBD, and just see what it's like, I guess, for a little bit before I have to head back to Wellington. And that's the first trip of the year. I get back to Wellington in like mid-February, and then I have about a couple weeks, like maybe 4 weeks before I fly to Canada. And I'm going to visit my Masha for her birthday. So that's really fun. I've booked 4 weeks in Canada. At this stage, I haven't decided if I want to go somewhere near Canada for like maybe a week of that 4-week holiday. It's all up in the air. I don't really know, but we're gonna figure it out. So that's the upcoming trips that I've planned so far. But then it all comes crashing to a close in July because that's when my residency visa travel conditions expire. So I'm actually gonna be applying for permanent residency, but what that means is while I'm waiting for the decision on my permanent residency, I can't actually leave the country. So that means I'm grounded, however long it takes to get my permanent residency approved. And then once I get it approved, I can celebrate and go on a holiday or something. But in between then, I'm probably going to be picking up a work contract just so that I'm not sitting around. And it would be nice to just get a job under my belt to get some savings back. But yeah, that's the foreseeable future plans. Again, I cannot tell you that this will absolutely happen for certain. It's just my hopes and goals coming into the new year. But that is the update wrap up for 2023. So I really hope you enjoyed listening to this catch up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next update. Bye!